Ba-ba-ba-bum. And here we go. Ahem. Greetings, champions. Welcome to Mars Guiding Hand. I'm Mars, and this is Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, a free-to-play officially licensed Dungeons & Dragons formation strategy game from Codename Entertainment. On this partner stream, we take a look at the latest content, discuss strategies, and answer any questions you may have about the game. So, take my hand, champions. There's much to learn. On today's episode, episode 6 of Guiding Hand, we are going to be covering one of my favorite events. Possibly my favorite event, period, in the entire game. Fleet's Wake. And not because of any, specific character reason, but just because I think the adventure itself is extremely cool. You fight a Kraken at the end of it, and it's just an awesome battle, like a stormy sea, and I don't know, nautical stuff just really gets me, you know? Everybody has their thing, and nautical stuff really appeals to me. Okay, so the returning characters for Fleet's Wake are Zorbu Natten, the gnome ranger, who he's a feisty little guy, has a lot of anger in him, and then also the Black Viper, sort of a like a noble thief kind of character, literally noble thief. She has a a proper identity, but secretly she is the Black Viper. And she is a slot 7 swap for Minsk. Zorbu is a slot 12 swap for Archon. The new character, the new champion debuting this year is Saskia, a slot 1 swap for Brunor. And right now we are going to be unlocking Saskia on this run, which as soon as we clear stage 50, we're just going to reset and go into a variant. And I thought maybe to kind of celebrate the inclusion of a new codename original champion, for this formation, I'm going to only use codename original characters. So that's where we have Turiel out, and we have Korth, and next up will be Grama. Oh yes, and our code for this week, as you can see above me, is Wally Cause logo. I'm not sure what the logo for Wally Cause would look like. Is this anything similar to the Idle Champions logo, which is very good. Iris, the Beholder, who is also a familiar in the game, if you didn't know. Here's Iris. She cute. I believe Iris was a familiar that you could originally get from the Founders Pack 1. I think that was it. But that DLC pack was retired. And so now Iris appears occasionally in wild offers. So you still have an opportunity to pick up Iris if you want Iris. Good luck with the event, everyone. Has anyone in the chat already unlocked Saskia? Is anyone forming opinions yet about the new character? At the very least, you can go ahead and read up on Saskia on the dev blog, the Champion Spotlight. I'm going to put Grama in front next to Turiel. We already have Stokey coming up next for slot 4. Oh, is Silesa's evaluation up? Awesome. If anyone is here who doesn't know yet, the Idle Champions community is rife. Maybe that's not the best word for it, but rife with people who care about the community and contribute to our community, such as, hello, I'm Mars. I do this stream and visual aids and stuff. Garwar in the chat here does excellent guides for events and things. And Silesa, among other things, does evaluations, like analyses of every champion that's released. and they're all these top quality stuff. You can find pretty much everything that we release over on the subreddit. Go check that out. And of course also on the Discord, where we are all active. Yeah, it's so at least his evaluations are basically report cards for the champions. As CNE just said in the chat. An abundance of generous folks. Yes. Now, I would be tempted to do something like show some kind of crazy favor farm working off of 0 favor for this unlock run, like showing what can a veteran player do in this game, starting with absolutely no favor in a completely fresh event or time gate or campaign or what have you. I could probably hit E20 favor on this first run, but I just really want to unlock Saskia and start working with her, getting her into the formation. So as soon as we hit stage 50, we're just going to reset and go into one of the variants. I'd like to start by just looking at the event and going over everything that is in this event with everyone. So, assuming you are totally new and you haven't unlocked any of these characters, you haven't done any of these variants, we're just going to look at each of them in turn. So first is the Unfair Sea for Zorbu. This is to unlock Zorbu Natten, the Gnome Ranger, in slot 12. And we'll be going over his stuff in brief. The focus today is going to be more on Saskia, but we will go over Zorbu and Black Viper. His first variant is Thunder and Lightning. In outdoor areas, lightning strikes your formation every 5 seconds, dealing 90% of max health to a random champion. If Zorbu Thunderbolt Natten is struck by lightning, his next normal attack does 10 times his normal damage. So for variants like this that do percent max health damage, there's a few variants like this in permanent campaigns as well. You gotta be careful, because you can buff health by percentages at a time by using several tank champions at once, because they have a health sharing buff that applies to all the characters in the formation. At first you might think like, okay, I just need more health to survive these lightning bolts, but it's always going to do 90% max health. So maybe don't buff your health. Maybe instead stack up healers, because you can't really buff their healing as easily as you can buff everyone's health. So just keep everyone's health lower, but put healers in. Put Celeste, put Donar, put Keelek, or Shields, or what have you. Like Calliope. Crashing Waves. Only 2 of your formation's columns can do damage at any time. The 2 columns change every 10 areas. So this doesn't seem too bad. It's probably just about changing where your DPS is positioned. You might want to use champions that are more inclined for more freeform formations, like Ayla doesn't really care about where she's positioned, for example. This seems like it would be maybe more annoying than impossible. Shipwright's Ball. Oh, I remember this one. 2 shipwrights take up slots in the formation, so it's an escort quest. Every 15 seconds, the shipwright swap the position of 2 champions adjacent to them. That's another one of those rough ones where you have to constantly babysit the formation. So maybe don't trust offline progress with that. Set aside some time. Yeah, ship wrongs, as Garwar's saying in the chat here. Yeah. Alright, next in our list of codename originals that we're going to be using is going to be Zander. We don't really have a DPS out yet. Grama is technically a DPS. I never use her for a DPS. But we're currently using her as a tank anyway. Okay, back to looking at our adventure variants. Moving on to the Black Viper, the Year 2 champion returning for this event for Fleet's Wake. So the Black Viper is a slot 7 champion. She swaps with Minsk. Her first variant is Umberlee's Deluge. Sea Spawn appear with each wave of enemies. They do not drop gold or count toward quests. More and more Sea Spawn appear as you get further into the adventure. Ooh, I remember this being crazy when you push like really far in. Thankfully, you only have to get up to Area 75, but these can be fun if you enjoy a good challenge and you just want to see like way too many enemies all at once. If you like the feeling of being overwhelmed, then maybe push deeper and give this a shot. Tight-fisted foes. Black Viper starts in the formation. Only enemies killed by Black Viper drop gold. So this is just forcing you to use Black Viper as your DPS, which is fine for Area 125. She's not necessarily bad, but she would be my lowest priority champion for this event in the current meta. And extra dexterous. Champions gain buffs or debuffs based on their dex score. Some low dex champions may be detrimental to your progress, while high dex ones will be extra helpful. So you want to stack up having different high dexterity based characters. Hey! There's our pop-up. Thank you, C&E, as always, for having me. It's always a lot of fun. It's always a pleasure. We can't actually look at... well, actually, can we? Can we look at Sasaspia's variants before we unlock her? I completed high locked. Okay. Yeah, we can't look at it yet, but soon. Soon. Hello, everyone joining us. Greetings. Welcome to Mars Guiding Hand. I am Mars. Maybe you've heard of me. Today I have a simple black tea. I have a little bit of a sore throat because I was playing around doing some like funny voices last night playing a game, and not Idle Champions. Weird, I know, I do play other games. But throat hurts a little bit, so I've got a simple black tea, honey, and a Ricola, like a cough drop thing, dropped in. It really helps. We are unlocking Sasaspia in today's stream to celebrate Fleet's Wake Year 3. We are also using only Codename Original Champions for this adventure. So we have Turiel out, as well as Korth, Grama, Stokey, Zander soon. Not sure who all else will actually be able to get out here, but I'm excited for this adventure in general. Okay, we have Zander out now, so Krond will be next. Yeah, we'll put him here. Who plays other games? I was actually playing a little bit of Undertale last night. Just it's been a while, and it's such a charming game. It's so wholesome if you play pacifist. I never beat the genocide route. So, out of the 3 characters in Fleet's Wake, we have Zorbu in slot 12, we have Black Viper in slot 7, we have now Sasaspia in slot 1. I imagine there's a lot of players out there who every event, they wonder, like, who should they prioritize? I saw people asking about that in the Discord already before I started the stream. And it was funny because Garawar, Silisa, and I all simultaneously said Zorbu. Like within seconds of each other as the top priority for the event right now. Sasaspia, very cool, and the fact that she is a slot 1 swap is great for starting different like variants, different time gates and events where you're starting with no favor, because whoever you have in slot 1, you just get to start with for free. Plus, just having more options in any slot is always going to be good, especially if they're very different than any other options present. Sasaspia being female, evil, a Yuan-Ti, a healer, very cool. It's very, very different than anything that we've had in slot 1 so far. Oh, oh, Gar. That's... we don't have to be that mean to Black Viper, do we? She's fine. She needs some help. I think she's still a cool character. Like, just thematically. I like the idea of Black Viper. But Yeah, she does. She doesn't really fit in super well with kind of the direction of the current game. I think my big beef with Black Viper personally is her red gem collection mechanic. I love it in concept. I remember being so excited for it when Black Viper was first announced. Like, she was the first character to have a like permanent upgrade mechanic, collecting these red gems. That was so exciting. In actual practice, it took me a few months, and I'm sure it'll take other people far longer. In actual practice, it was tedious, and that wasn't a great feeling. But it was one of those things that was kind of like, I'm guessing, a stab in the dark, because that sort of thing hasn't been done before in the game. Black Viper was like the first take on that sort of a permanent upgrading mechanic over time. Zorbu is another example. And very rarely do I see people complaining about the way that Zorbu's permanent upgrade mechanic works. So I feel like Z&E has learned over time how to implement that better. You might be wondering, like, how does that make sense? Because Zorbu is year 1 for Fleet's Wake and Black Viper is year 2. Because Zorbu had a rework earlier. Zorbu was far less popular when he first debuted. He didn't really fit in much of anywhere, but he's much, much better now. Zorbu is currently one of the top DPS choices, if not the top DPS choice in the meta, as well as being a stellar support. He has a permanent upgrade mechanic, he has powerful abilities, he fits into many different formation types. Zorbu is a fantastic champion, and you would do well to invest in him. Pick up Zorbu as your first priority if you're a new player, if you haven't unlocked anyone in this event. Gear up Zorbu as your first priority as well. But also, make sure to unlock Black Viper and Saskia. Gear up Saskia, gear up Black Viper. The most important thing you can do in any event is to unlock the characters in the event. Gear comes second, but unlocking definitely first. If you can manage to get the variants done, then by all means, push for it, try for it. But if you're very new, then general advice would be to unlock the characters and then pivot. Go back to doing normal campaign stuff, because your favor conversion will be minuscule from the event if you're very new. Whereas it's more important if you're already a more established player, like mid to late game player. I agree with what's being said by some people in the chat here that Zorbu might be a little too good. But it's honestly just a matter of time. Anyone who's been here for a long time will remember the days of Strix. Strix was top DPS for, I want to say, over a year. And now look. It's not that Strix has gotten any worse, but that other DPS choices have gotten better, and they have kind of pushed Strix out of the top options. Just nudged her out little by little over time. I made a silly comic about it when Archon got his update. Okay, who do I want in here? Oh, well, I mean, Black Viper. Technically not a codename original, but it's her event, so. And we have 2 different skins for Black Viper. There's no skin, normal. This is what Black Viper would look like normally. But there's also the Svel. I'm not sure how to actually pronounce this, but you can have her non-vigilante noblewoman outfit. That is available in the game. Esvele? I would not have guessed that. Do I have all the red gems for Black Viper? I do, but it looks like I can't actually show you. Yeah. I need to get her on the field and unlock her Jewel Thief ability to actually show you how many I've collected. But I am indeed over her 6,500 red gems collected mark to have all of her abilities unlocked. Someone's asking what they actually did to Zorbu. Oh, a number of things. He has always had this formation ability that increases the damage of characters with a high enough dexterity, but it used to not apply to him. Now it does. So that is just one example of the ways that they fixed Zorbu, as well as they gave him this this permanent upgrading damage mechanic. And they changed the way specializations work. It used to be that you chose a favored enemy for Zorbu, just like you do for Minsk. No, but you level up Minsk, you choose Undead, or Beasts, or what have you, Fae. It was like that with Zorbu, but for different enemy types. They took that away and gave him different specializations that all have to do with his like seething hatred mechanics, his buffs against enemies that he has hunted all his life. Yes, his favorite enemies were super niche uses, not as prominent as Minsk's. King Macris is asking how much gear on Zorbu to replace purple gear Dritzt. Not much. Honestly, it depends on your formation. It depends on your needs and like what other champions you have available. Like the more Companions of the Hall you have available, the better Dritzt DPS formation is going to be. If you don't have many other of the Companions of the Hall, then Dritzt is not going to be as good as he could be. Like, he could be performing much better if you collect them all, which you should, because it's a good affiliation. But Zorbu is stellar, even ungeared. Just right out the gate, Zorbu is extremely strong. Definitely just pick up Zorbu, gear him up as best as you can. Slots 1 through 4 are the most important for him. His ultimate is not really important. Yeah, slot 3 and 4 especially. For Zorbu gear. I can't actually show you my Zorbu yet, but I can show you my Black Viper for now. My Black Viper, I have blue, purple, purple shiny, and purple. So she's still missing a couple of epics. Slot 1 and slot 3. Really wish I had the slot 3 epic just to make her just a little bit better. I'm hoping to get this on this event. We'll see. I'm not expecting it, but it would be nice. I'm looking forward to that Year 1 Part 2 update, C&E. I'm sure a lot of us are. Or Year 2 Part 1, rather. Okay, 5 more stages and we get Saskia, and then we can finally start playing around with her. And this is so cool. Okay, so we're on a ship. We were already fighting through the cabin of the ship, and now we're actually like, we're on top of the ship. And I love nautical stuff. It's just cool to me. Because coming up, we're going to be fighting a juvenile Kraken. I'd love to see a full-grown Kraken if that's just the juvenile. Yes, I suppose I could show my collections tab for Zorbu gear. Make console UI people jealous, since you don't have this, unfortunately. If I scroll all the way to the end here, click on Zorbu. Here we go. Here's my Zorbu gear. It's not showing his item levels, but I can do that with a blacksmithing contract. I've got Epic on slots 1 and 2, Rare on slot 3, Epic Shiny on slot 4, very nice, Epic on slot 5, and Rare on slot 6. And let me see what those item levels are. Average item level is 53 on my Zorbu here. 78 on 3, 48 on 4. A Spectral Kraken, that's cool. Rare Shiny on slot 3. Did I? Did I and just not say it? Oh, yes. So very lucky on shinies for my Zorbu. I get excited for this Kraken fight every time. Okay, here we go. Not having much shielding out here might be a problem, but we'll see. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That's rough. Oh, we have Black Viper out now. That's good. Yeah, the fact that the Kraken just keeps healing itself with its like vampiric touch tentacles. Scary. Scary boss. It can stun, it can lifesteal. Like, for both the mechanics in this fight and just for the theme of it. Like, you've got the rain falling gently, like storm clouds. You're out on the deck of a ship that's under attack by sea beasts. Ah, it's really cool. I love this. Hey, what's up, Narak? Another Codename Original we can possibly get out, but not likely, I think, before this is over. What's the hardest boss in the game? Oh, I know a lot of people struggle with Strahd. I think the hardest boss in the game, I mean, Valindra for Soriel's Resolve, it depends on, like, circumstances. Like, if you're in a particular variant, patron variant, depends on, like, your level of experience with the game, what champions you have available. Certain champions can just trivialize particular bosses. Yeah, and it also, of course, depends on the level that you're fighting them on, the stage. Like right now we're on stage 50. This Kraken would be much more difficult further in. It is thankfully only a segmented health boss and not an armored health boss. However, the tentacles have normal health for enemies, not segmented health. Bop. Okay. And we're done here. With just 159 favor. But good enough. Let's pick up Saskia. And then jump into a variant immediately. I could afford either of the first two variants for Saskia. Shout out to Skip Button. Love you, Skip Button. Okay, here we go. I'm excited. You excited? I'm excited. Now we can finally look at Saspia's variants. First up, Shattered Shields. Costs 1,000 fresh fish, 1,000 event tokens. Umberlee's Curse has broken all shields and heavy armor, rendering tanking champions useless. The Shattered Remnants have been stolen by some fiendish creatures and co-opted for their own nefarious use. Champions with a tanking role cannot be used, and random enemies spawn with 5 armored hit points. Oof, that's rough. Okay. So, that's going to be a slow one. You only have to reach 75, so that's fine. But it is going to be a slow, rough ride for some players out there. Just for the fact that they have armored hit points means that enemies are going to take more time to kill. You won't be able to rely strictly on your familiars to just blaze through everything quickly. Suspicious Shipment. A strange shipment takes up a slot in the formation. It's so distracting that champions adjacent to the shipment deal no damage. And that's in the worst possible spot, too. Looking at that formation shape, there's 5 adjacencies to where the escort item is. So, that tells me that you're going to want your DPS either here, in the very back, here, in the second rearmost column at the bottom, or either of the 2 tanking spots. So a DPS tank could be good, such as Archon. Yeah, fans of Delana might enjoy setting up a Delana formation for this. And finally, we can't afford this one, but maybe we can do this one next week. We have Seas of Sickness. So Saskia starts out in the formation and cannot be moved, removed, or swapped. Enemies move faster and deal more damage unless they are affected by Sasaspia's Spores. Sasaspia's unique character mechanic is that she has spores that she puts on enemies, she puts on allies, she has this reserve of them that influences how strong, like how effective all of these things are, and we'll go over all of that. So, Shattered Shields or Suspicious Shipment? What do you guys want to see? Pick. I'll do either one of these. I'm not afraid. I'll go with the first thing I see suggested in the chat. Shields. Okay, done. Thank you, Daza, for saying shields. Let's go. Great. Well, thank you, Sean, or whoever it was over at C&E who dealt with my most recent support ticket. I appreciate that. Now's not a good time, but I will look at that later. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, and Turiel's already off to a rough start here. Well, we'll be using... He's just gonna die. I'm just gonna go ahead and let the enemies reset this stage. Okay. Reset. And now we have Saskia out. Fantastic. We're gonna want... Whew. No tanks. Okay. Well, for what it's worth, there are some options, even if you're dealing with a no-tank formation. Any non-tanks that still have increased overwhelm feats may be helpful for you here, such as Brunor. I don't want to swap Brunor in right now, because we're still under attack here. Actually, maybe Spurt. Or Benwin, because Benwin does multiple attacks. See, I want to use Artemis here, but I want more DPS on the field for Artemis. Oh, hey, Sean. Good to see you. I'll go ahead and put Brunor out for now, just to show off what I'm talking about here. Brunor has a feat for Defensive Duelist. Brunor takes 5 more enemies attacking to get overwhelmed. It's one of his starting feats. So if you're really just hurting for a tank to use for this variant, you can always set up Brunor. He is not a tank, but he can pretend to be. Yes, the the pop-up for my ticket being responded to happened on the stream, so cheers, Sean. Thanks for that. Good to know you're thinking about me. Okay, what is Sasaspia's 7.8 second cooldown? Alright. I want this to go a little faster, because I want to be able to fit this into the stream. I'm just going to put one large speed potion on, and not any more than that. Ooh. I'm glad it's not every enemy that has armored hit points. That would be far worse. That would be like durable deep. Traumatic memories of durable deep. I feel like Binwin might be a good choice for this because of his multiple attacks. Good for tearing through armored enemies. Hitch with his more daggers specialization would also be good for this. Really, just any character that has multiple attacks or very fast cooldown on their basic attacks is going to be more useful in this variant. Normally, I wouldn't use Binwin pretty much at all. He just doesn't really fit my playstyle. I love his skin. The Petrified Binwin skin is a very, very fun skin. There's also Solstice Binwin, if you're a fan of skins. There was the Christmas or holiday, winter holiday skin for Binwin was the first one, followed by Krampus Krull. We had that one too. Giant Dwarf, I believe that's correct. Brunor, Barrowin, and Jamila being the only non-tank champions with increased overwhelm. If anyone can remember any others, then please say so in the chat. But those are the three that come to mind for me. Okay. Let's go ahead and start looking at Saskia, since we have her. We might as well. What else do I want out here? Maybe just Ishii, so that she attacks faster than anyone else. Yeah, that might be good. Oh boy. I'm looking at Saskia's animation here with the spores that are circling her, and at 10 times speed, I bet that's dizzying to watch. Very fast. Alright, let's read about Saskia. Saskia is a slot 1 healing and support champion. She is a Yuan-Ti pureblood, a druid, a Circle of Spores druid. Very cool subclass in 5th edition for druids. It's all about like poison, fungus stuff. It's interesting. You have like a halo of spores that follows you around and does cool stuff. An outcast even from her home city of Omu on Chult, Saskia does not seek wealth nor glory for herself. Instead, she wishes only to hone her powers, and anyone or anything that gets in her way, neutral evil, will learn that she has already made great strides toward doing so. A reluctant ally, she joins the champions solely because they are a means to an end, an endless stream of foes on which to unleash and perfect her sinister machinations. Ain't that the truth? Endless stream of foes. I think that sums up the game perfectly. Look at all those spores! Wow, that's building up quickly. Nice. Some good healing, even just ungeared, and very low level still. Okay, and let's have, yeah, everything showing. So, Saskia. It's a pretty unique character here. Another codename original champion. They always try to do some kind of interesting combination of race, class, mechanics that just doesn't exist anywhere else. That's why we have a Githzerai monk. That's why we have a Warforged warlock. Now we have a Yuan-Ti druid. They're all very interesting combinations. So, Halo of Spores, her core mechanic. So Saskia is surrounded by a torus of necrotic spores. Every second, one of the spores shoots out and attaches itself to an enemy that is near the formation. I see a typo there, and there's an extra E in itself. When enemies are damaged, they take 50% additional damage over 5 seconds for each spore affecting them. Normal enemies can only be affected by 1 spore, while bosses can be affected by 4. So Saskia regenerates the spore every 4 seconds, can have up to 20 spores in her reserve. And it'll even show you like her current and maximum. She has 20 self-DPS upgrades. Now, I always enjoy playing around with non-DPS characters on release to see, like, Can you do a secret DPS formation with non-DPS characters like Paulton? The spelling mistake was itself, Sean. There's an extra E in here. It happens. We're all human. Symbiotic Infection. Saskia uses her reserve of necrotic spores to empower a subtle infection she maintains upon her companions, goading them forward and hopefully assisting her in her own selfish goals. This infection increases the damage of all champions within 2 slots of herself by X% for each spore she has in reserve additively. So you want to put her in a position where your DPS is going to be within 2 slots of Saskia. Now, does anyone know if that's the standard method of counting spaces away that applies to most champions, or if it's like I think it's Dadius who just does like an as the crows fly number of steps away, of 2 steps for his like he skips over empty spots, whereas most everyone else doesn't. I don't know if which one she does. I would assume it's adjacencies and doesn't count empty spaces. I think it's always safe to assume that until proven otherwise. Okay, Symbiotic Healing. Sasaspia's Subtle Infection heals damaged champions within 2 slots of herself for X per second for each spore she has in reserve, additively. This is another thing that can upgrade. She unlocks her ultimate later on. Oh, we don't have access to this yet, but it looks cool. Okay, well, we need to get some more levels on her to really enjoy what Saskia brings to the table. For now, I'm just going to keep putting out people who can do multiple attacks, like Calliope, hitting the 2 closest enemies. So a little more extra attacks going. Look at all those spores. I know it's still 20, but it's kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of like a celestial body system, like a planet with a lot of moons rotating around it or something. I'll take War Domain. Oh, it's because of the specific wording, Garwar. I would just rather it be consistent, personally, so that we don't have to remember specific exclusions like that to how things work. Thoughts on Sasaspia's champion achievement? Let's take a look at it. Oh, that's not what I want. No. Come here. Here we go. Supreme Spores. Use Sasaspia's ultimate with 40 or more spores infecting your enemies. I clearly don't have this yet. I just unlocked her earlier on the stream. I'll probably have more opinions on this next week after I've played around with Saskia more, since I just unlocked her. Not sure yet if this is going to be difficult or not, but gut reaction seems like it'll be easy. You just set up a tanking formation that doesn't really put out a lot of damage. Just go for survivability, just that Saskia has like enough time to just dump spores on enemies, and then use her ult, and then you get it. I'm going to take Ashara, because Ashara also fires multiple attacks with her magic missile basic attack. Multiple attacks is what we want to take care of all these armored enemies. It's going well so far. Do I want Black Viper? Well, sure. Just because it's her event, I'll keep using Black Viper. Okay. I need to be using some bounty contracts on this run so that I can afford the next variant. I'll wait till I'm closer to my wall for that. If you're new to the game, you might not know this, that if you use bounty contracts, and it says it in the item description when you hover over it, bounty contracts, if you use them during an event, will also drop event tokens. Event tokens are used to pay the cost for attempting any of the adventures, variants, and free plays while an event is live. The higher rarity the bounty contract, the more event tokens it will grant you upon being used. And you can use multiple at once. Oh, there's a hype train in the chat now. Cool. Have fun. Good luck. All aboard. Choo choo. What is a hype train? It's to what I understand, a more recent feature in Twitch, giving you the opportunity to unlock various emotes based on how much support the audience is giving to the stream in the, like, looks like 5-minute time limit that the hype train is available for. So bits and subscriptions and etc. I don't know if donations apply, but bits and subscriptions definitely. What's today's brew of choice? Just a simple black tea. A simple black tea with honey and basically a cough drop dropped in. Yeah. Oh, does going up a level extend the time for the hype train? So I have a sore throat today. Only a little bit, because I was having fun doing some voice acting last night while I was playing Undertale. It's a wonderful game. Sometimes I have to take breaks from Idle Champions. Sometimes, rare occasions. But always fun. Hey, the hype train. Level 1 complete. Cool. Now, does it actually increase the time? Yes, it did. Looks like it added a minute to the time. I'll just take College of Valor. Doesn't really matter. We just have to beat stage 75, and I don't think that's going to be difficult. Take breaks from Idle Champions? Never! Well, I certainly don't play more modern releases, more like AAA titles, that sort of thing. These days, I prefer kind of simpler, smaller games. But Idle Champions stays my perennial favorite, of course. Giant Dwarf is saying in the chat, don't forget about playing the Sober Up variant of Waterdeep Dragon Heist with an event now running. Yes. So this is something that I talked about a little bit last week for episode 5 when we covered the latest campaign adventure variants that were added to the game. There were 2 added each to Grand Tour of the Sword Coast, Tomb of Annihilation, Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. One of the variants that was added to Waterdeep Dragon Heist is called Sober Up, and it has blurry pink elephants attacking you. They cause a significant debuff to your champions that stacks up quickly. I remember having over 500 stacks when I finally beat it. It was rough, but certainly not impossible. Now, it's noted in the rules for that particular variant that if you use bounty contracts, then it can reduce the buff as if that amount of time had passed for the bounty contract, because the debuff goes away over time. And I caution against using those unless an event is running, because while an event is running, not only will you get whatever the bounty contract normally give you, gold, and in the case of the variant, time to take away stacks of the debuff, but also during an event you will get event tokens for using it. Okay, we're past stage 50. It's pretty much smooth sailing from here on out to the end of this variant, so I'm not worried. But now that Fleet's Wake is live, if you still have the Sober Up variant available to you, go tackle that. Mars and or chat, can you break down point specializations and when to use each one? Chesterstone asks. Ha! I pretty much always take the rightmost spec on Puent when I use him, which is not terribly often. I'll use Puent if I'm setting up a Companions of the Hall formation, but otherwise I'm pretty much always using Calliope or Keelek. So I may not be the best person to ask about Puent specifically. However, I'm sure there are people in the chat, the Discord, or Reddit who might be more supportive of using Puent. He's just smelly. We have so many smelly champions. Strix, Ishii, Puent, Dragonbait. Ah, my hair. You got a shiny on Dragonbait. Congratulations, Orca. Yeah, Puent's kind of a fill-in champion for me, personally. Who do I want here? I'll take Hitch. This is probably overkill at this point. Pretty sure we're going to be able to pass this without putting Hitch, or rather Mitch, in here as well. Hey, congratulations, passing the hype train, guys. Good job. Thanks for supporting the stream. I'm out of tea. Cheers, everyone. I'll have to get a refill after the stream. This is not a good formation, just FYI. The fact that we can't use tanks out here is rough. If I was really worried about enemies making it to my front line, I would have Brunor out instead. And I would also, if I had enough favor, I would have Barrowin or Jamila out. But with that much favor, I'd be able to clear this no problem anyway with just the champions that I already have out, even if they had worse gear. A Gliding Seeker, this is the only time you listen to the music for this game. Me too. I turn on the music for the stream because I don't like streaming in silence. I'm used to at least having music on all the time. Turning the music on for Idle Champions kind of puts me in the, like, oh, it's time to stream mindset that I need to be in to put on a good show. I see Garwar answering some questions in the chat and talking about chests here, like priority for what type of chest to get for what your goal is. Like whether you're trying to get item levels or shinies or blah, blah, blah. And it may be worth mentioning to any of the newer players out there, like chest opening strategies that are sometimes discussed when it comes to events specifically. i.e., if you start an event, you'll notice you have no favor, right? So it's very difficult to get gold up to unlock champions. So at the very start, you could throw some bounty contracts out on stage 1 just to get some quick gold to put some levels on your slot 1, unlock slot 2. Or you could use a silver chest for that. And further in, you can also use silver chests and bounties in order to get gold more quickly, to kind of ramp up how much gold you've acquired once you're at your wall for your earlier runs during an event. That's a strategy that I used to follow pretty rigorously for, I want to say, most, if not all, of year 2 I did that, but not really anymore. It's at the point now that with the champions I have available and the gear that I have on them, I can push out to like 500, 600 on my first run, E20 favor. I don't really need to open chests. But I still love opening chests. Last week we opened well over 1,000 chests and we got 2 natural shinies, one for Dragon Bait. I don't remember who... Oh, it was for Ashara. Yeah, the second one was for Ashara. I think it was her spear? Maybe? Some people are asking if you can get shinies from silver chests. Yes. I believe you can get shinies from any chest that is capable of dropping gear. It's a 1 in 1,000 chance. But there's no pity timer. There's no guarantee of it. And good evening to you, Iltacine. Hope that you're doing well. Did I get the rare item for Dragon Bait after Gliding Secret is asking? Okay, well, let's check. Let's see if in all the chests I've opened since last week's stream... Try that again. No. No, I have not. So my decision to open gold chests before silver chests for Dragon Bait continues to haunt me. I'll get it eventually. I'm not worried about it. Much. And that's it. That's Shattered Shields. Simple. It's really the earlier stages that are going to be more difficult for players. As you saw in my case, Stage 1 was rough because I only had 1 or 2 champions at best out at the time. Build up your favor in a free play if you're going to jump into that and you're worried about it. Or just drop some silver chests, drop some bounty contracts, get the gold that you need to put out multiple characters. Try to focus on characters that have multiple attacks or that attack very quickly. Such as why I have Ishii out here. She must attack a quarter second faster than anyone else. Normally I wouldn't use Ishii, but she's good for stuff like this. How can you tell if an item is shiny? Morkani asks. If you're looking at an item, it will say shiny. See up there above the title of the item, it says shiny, level 1137. Also, you notice that it has a silver kind of inner frame as compared to this, which is a brown inner frame. I'm not dinosaur about not having the full collection. Hey, that's pretty good. Good one. Good one. The tea of the day, Zeke, is just a simple black tea, nothing special. Trying to be nice to my throat today. Alright, so we're looking at about 1,000 favor gain, but I am going to want some more tokens so that I can do the next variant. So I'm just gonna drop these real quick. There we go. All set. Much better. Let's go take a look at variant number 2 for Saskia. Or should we do 3? Alright, we got our gold chest for her. Hold on to that for now. So, Sasaspia's variants that we have left to do. Whichever one that I don't do now, I will do next week on our episode 7. Suspicious Shipment costs 2,500 event tokens, fresh fish. We have to complete Area 125, and it's essentially an escort quest with an object taking up the worst possible slot for it to take up in the formation. And every champion that's adjacent... another typo there. There's an N in there that needs to be moved over. Champions that are adjacent to the box deal no damage. Yikes. So we want our DPS to be either very far in the back, all the way back, or second rearmost column, but at the bottom, or in one of our 2 tank spots. So like Archon, or possibly Grama? She's a DPS. And the third variant is Seas of Sickness. Costs 5,000 tokens, so we could also afford that now. Saskia starts out in the formation and cannot be moved, removed, or swapped. Enemies move faster and deal more damage unless they're affected by Sasapia's spores. So we often see this sort of variant, this type of variant. We should come up with some kind of name for this. It's like a spotlight variant where a specific character is featured, and they may have some type of other unique mechanic applied to them or the use of them. I'm gonna go with... Suspicious Shipment. Because I'm betting that a lot of players are going to have problems with building formations for this. So let's see what we can do. I agree, Iltacine. I really do enjoy the Spotlight variants as well. I know. Thank you, Sean. I know. I'll get to it. Alright. I didn't know that that pop-up came up every time you started an adventure, if you haven't already looked at it. Good to know. Okay, so I'm going to keep Saskia out, so that we can continue using her. And we don't need her to be dealing damage. So she can stay adjacent to the suspicious shipment. It's hard to say. I just recalled the alliteration that Chris mentioned, I believe, when he was going over things. Yeah, so Shattered Shields, Suspicious Shipment, Seas of Sickness. And then I think, yeah, Sheer Satisfaction, Sufficient Supplies, and Seaward Safari, and Supreme Spores. Lots of S alliteration. It's a tongue twister. Okay, so Sasaspia's own position doesn't matter as long as we keep her within 2 slots of our DPS. And since our DPS is going to be either here, or here, or here, or here, then I'm going to place Sasaspia here. That way she's within 2 spots of any of our DPS options. Give us more freedom for where we might want to put people. We can always move her around, it's no big deal. Yes, a lot of S's being used because she's a snake lady. Sasaspia. Am I saying that right? C&E, by the way? Do we have an official pronunciation? And I wonder what is in the box. I see some kind of tentacle, and it's moving. Something in there. Sasaspia, I got it? Yes! Awesome. I've redeemed myself for saying Narak incorrectly. I used to say Inrak for like the entire time that he's existed. Lots of tongue twisters in the chat right now. Okay, who else do I want to use here? I'm trying to think ahead of time of what I want my DPS to be. For now, I think I'm going to set up a pseudo gold find formation. I'm going to put some rogues and drow in the party. I'll have Regis buffing behind so he can target Jarlaxle. I'm just going to set up Jarlaxle as my DPS for now, just so that I can get some gold more quickly. Alright. That got us some earlier levels. Okay. Okay, good. We have Master of Piracy enabled on Jarlaxle now, increasing my gold find, so I'll be able to level characters a little bit more swiftly. Oh, Darklink brings up an excellent point about a certain patron perk. If you haven't gotten into doing patrons yet, maybe you're new or you just haven't bothered, patrons are fun. You can replay permanent campaign variants that you've already cleared, most of them. I think there's only like one currently that you can't do, which is Ashara's Spotlight variant that just got added last week. But each of the patrons has perks that you can invest in. These are essentially blessings, but under the patron mechanic. And one of these global perks for Vajra Safar is Spoils of Victory, which increases all gold found by X% per rank, maxing out at 100% once you have it built up all the way. So that's just permanently on for me. I have 100% gold find every single campaign, whether it's a permanent campaign, a time gate, an event like this. It helps significantly, especially early on when it's more of a slow burn, a slow grind to get up to speed. Has anyone made a Sisyphus joke about these variants yet? I don't believe so, but I think the same could be said for pretty much the whole game, really. The Sisyphean effort of rolling the boulder and having it come back at you. Constantly resetting our adventures to gain favor, start over again. I'm not sure what Harry Potter house she might be from. If I had to guess, one, Slytherin. I'm not really a Harry Potter guy myself. I used to be. I got a few chests to open up. Just gonna pop these open real quick. Nope. Not what I need for Dragon Bait, unfortunately. Okay. Rare on Kron, that's nice. Oh, I have my own code to do, too. Does anyone want to get anything good from this? And what is it again? Wally Cause logo. Let's see what we get. Shiny? No. Okay. One of these days, maybe in a few thousand episodes of this show, my own chest will give me a shiny. That'd be nice. Oh, the code for D&D Beyond's already out. Fantastic. Ildacine has a question for me. I intend to try to push my wall to the next XOO level on this variant, like 100, 200, etc. Do I know or have a preference on which formation would be best to try that for this event, or which champions free play would be best? Ooh. That's also going to depend on, like, do you have all champions? I did get 2 shinies last stream, but it's never enough. It's never enough, Sienny. It's never enough. Anyway. It depends on do you have all the champions, Iltacine? Do you have only specific ones? You do have all. Okay. Okay, so in a vacuum, like assuming you have everything, assuming you have all champions. Come on. There we go. I just want to look at free plays real quick so I can look at the formation shapes. I like single tank formations the most. None of these are. They're all 2 tank formations. So I would be using Turiel and a single tank, probably Tyrell. Because I'd be using Turiel, I would not be using Brunor, which means I would not be using a Companion of the Hall formation. I probably would be using Zorbu. And gut reaction, either Zorbu or Saskia. Black Viper's formation looks like it would be more annoying to have to build a formation around if you're going to do a deep push. I'm more familiar with doing Zorbu's just because he's been around since year 1, so I've done that adventure many times already. But I'm probably going to do my own deep push with Sasaspia's formation because it's new, it's fresh, and I like to challenge myself. Why is Spurt still alive? Because I don't need him to die yet. If you'd like, I'll put some familiars out on the ultimate bar so that you can see the hammer come down. You dead! Poor Spurt. Spurt went splat. Right now, Spurt, Regis, Zander, Shandy, they're all just out here to buff Jarlaxle's gold find so that I can get gold faster to level up characters faster. Jam Man is asking, does Zorbu's passive of being near high dex units give him his own buff multiple times? I don't believe he gets it multiple times. I think he only applies it to himself once. Garwar, if you're still around, can you confirm or deny that for me? Or anyone else? Wouldn't it be faster with a Sentry? I'll be faster, but I'm not going for fast here right now. I have full confidence that I'll be able to get through this. Maybe not get through the entire run up to 125 before the end of the show today, but I'm not worried about the speed at which I'm going through this variant. But I do want to make sure that I'm leveling up characters enough because I want to play around with Saskia more. I want to unlock Black Viper. I probably won't be able to get Zorbu out, since he's slot 12. That'll take more investment. I could throw some epic potions on if I really wanted to go fast through it. Why do I prefer one tank formations for it? Just because it simplifies matters when I don't need to worry about having multiple tanks going. And so I like using Turiel. Turiel's one of my best buffers when I can use him, which is for 2 tank formations. I like putting everything onto a single tank for the purpose of their stacking buffs. Like, my Tyrell is incredibly strong because he has gigantic item levels, like all of my evergreen characters do. Okay, cool. Thank you, Garwar, for confirming. And Giant Dwarf, thank you. Yeah, only Ashara has a mechanic like that. With her bonds. Cool mechanic. I wish they applied more. It's always bothered me that Ashara has a half-orc option for her bonds, but there's only one half-orc in the game right now, and it's Krond, and Krond's in the same slot as Ashara, so it does nothing. Yet. Perhaps in the future. I agree, Gleacer. I don't really enjoy 3 tank formations myself either. 1 and 2 are good. When I'm in the mood for a challenge, I'll play with anything. But for just casually going through the game, 1 or 2 tank is my preference. Good luck, Iltacine. And of course, post your formation, whatever you end up going with, on the Discord, and I'm sure people will be very happy to help you in optimizing it. Zisarevi is asking if I just prefer my UI to be this size, or I haven't bothered scaling it down to where I can see every slot. I prefer it being this size so that I can see the chat. If I play with my game at the size in which I can see my entire bench all at once, then it completely covers up my stream software and the Twitch chat that's over here for me. It would be awkward. I wouldn't be able to chat with you guys if I did that. And part of the point of the stream is to answer questions and to help you all with any advice you might be seeking. Besides, I don't need to scroll right now, since I haven't even unlocked Hitch yet, but soon. Yeah, technically I have 2 monitors, but I use this one back here just for my face. Ha! Chairman, I'm glad you think so. That Idle Champions is one of the best Discord communities around. I completely agree. It's a fantastic community. Lots of friendly folks. Lots of helpful people. Lots of generosity and kindness. You get a mixed bag. All kinds of people, of course, just like you do in every group. But I think that on the whole, it's overall a nice, wholesome place. Oh, we already got an item for her. I guess this came from the Vajra chest that I opened, since Saskia would qualify for both Mert and Mert and Vajra. Yeah, Mert requires either good or evil alignment. She's evil. She qualifies for Mert. Vajra wants 14 or higher con. She has 15 con, so she qualifies for Vajra. So snake-headed staff. How folks respond to my staff tells me if I'm safe to remove my cloak. Might as well open her gold Saskia chest while we're at it then. Alright. Skeleton on slate. I'm aware that it's good, but thank you. And Spore Garden. It would be in much better shape if we stopped walking all over the Sword Coast. I think Jarlaxle might have a new friend in Saskia. Someone to kind of discuss his disdain for their constant adventures everywhere. She's sassy. That makes sense. More alliteration, right? Was there a button I just pushed to reveal the cards all at once? The spacebar on my keyboard. I just spammed it very quickly and it opened up everything. When you press spacebar, it flips a card. Or it opens your next chest if you have multiple chests and you've already looked at all of your cards. So if you just spam the spacebar very quickly, it'll be as if you just flipped everything all at the same time. I appreciate everyone in the chat that's doing these snake voices. Jarlaxle might think that Saskia is a friend. She tolerates him more than others. Okay. Everyone needs a friend. I hope Saskia gets a friend. Maybe Kroll? They seem like they would have a shared interest in infections, in spreading plagues and viruses and spores and whatnot. Perhaps they could just be work buddies or something. Some good comments in the chat here. Get her a sarsaparilla. Sassy Saskia snaps and snips snarkily. The Office Idol Champion style. Yes, please. I don't know. I don't know if Saskia is the type to have special monogram towels or not. It seems like a fancy dress that she's wearing, but I don't know. I don't feel like she's the type to really go in for that sort of frivolity. She seems very practical to me. I think she would just have towels, no monogram. It's silk. I'm so glad that the tip about spacebar helped people. Should I just go through the motions of all the different kind of hidden quality of life stuff in the game? Hold F on your keyboard to show the familiars overlay. This allows you to make all of your familiars vanish again if you just click on the familiars button, or place them by just clicking around wherever you want them. You can use spacebar to open chests and flip cards. There's a whole bunch of things, and it actually does tell you where it is. As Garwar mentioned, there's very, very, very obscure down here at the very bottom right. If you hover over this big H, you'll see the hotkeys list. So memorize this, and you'll have a much easier time playing the game, trust me. Happy to help everyone. Little things that have been added over time to the game. Slowly but surely, Idle Champions improves significantly over time. Yeah, it's true that it doesn't mention everything, but hopefully this still helps a lot of players out there who don't know any of them at all. You can do a lot with just your keyboard. You can also change how many levels that you upgrade by. It's times 1, times 10, times 25, times 100. And just upgrade. Yes, there's also holding Alt or Shift and using the left and right arrows on your keyboard to move over different zones. Oh yes, and holding the mouse button to level up. I'm glad that you mentioned that, Speller Bass. Another very useful thing. I remember how excited everyone was when that was added. It's a good feeling when you are at like E60 something gold and you put a new character in the formation, and then you just click and hold, and it levels them up all the way, stopping only to pick their specializations. Jamman's asking, are those feats in the event window only doable during the unit's event? I think you mean achievements. Oh, here's the Kraken fight. This is such a cool fight. So, for example, the Supreme Spores champion-specific achievement for Saskia. The answer to that is no, Jamman. You can always complete champion-specific achievements outside of that champion's event. You can complete those at any time. I actually showed that, I think, on one of my shows, like one of the earlier episodes, I think. I held off on doing... Was it Jim? Or Artemis? It was someone. I held off on doing a particular event champion's achievement just so that I could show that it doesn't matter. You can complete them at any time. And now that you can clear variants for event champions from that champion's time gate, you can get those achievements as well. Previously, you would have to get the variant-specific achievements during the event. Okay, we'll have to fight the Kraken one more time at stage 100, but I'm not worried about it. Okay, we are almost far enough now that I could design whatever formation I really wanted to, even if I just don't have the levels for it. So, now let me think about what kind of formations might I recommend to tackle this variant. Like we've covered before, everything that's adjacent to this cart deals no damage, and you can see that. It's listing 0 damage for any of these that I'm hovering over. Their formation abilities are still being applied. So really, this is just forcing you to put your DPS character either here, 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 or here. Right now I'm having my DPS Axle hanging out in the back. A Delana formation could work with this, if you are the type of player who enjoys Delana. I know you people are out there. I know that there are some Delana players out there. Farewell, Trev John Tax. Sleep well, get some good rest. But other than Delana, an Archon formation would work here. I would put Archon at the front with his bulk up specialization. That would be his tanking specialization. Really, he could tank either way, but if I'm going to go tank Archon, I always choose bulk up. I'm going to put him at the front. And then just set up champions that would buff Archon. The tricky thing about that is that because Archon is slot 12, and you might not have the favor to do this and get slot 12 early on to pick Archon as your DPS. Just as long as your DPS is in one of those 4 positions, you should be okay. Garwar, are you going to discuss any specific formation suggestions for this variant in your guide? I feel like people could benefit from that. You know, Turiel would be an interesting choice to use in here. Because he buffs further back. Like, he buffs more the further back people are. And if you're going to put your DPS in one of the furthest back positions, here, here, the fact that this is a 2-tank formation means that Turiel could be a good choice to put at the front alongside some good tank. Like a tank that doesn't really care about your DPS's position, such as Ayla. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Garwar, that this is going to be rough for new players in particular. I wouldn't be surprised if this came away as being the most difficult variant, like, in how it's perceived for newer players out of the 3. We have half an hour left in the stream. We're just moseying along through the Suspicious Shipment, the second variant for the Fleet's Wake Year 3 event that's currently live in Idle Champions. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone need advice? Anything they need answered? Yeah, suggesting what tank to use in this formation for a newer player is... It's tough. If you go with Nayeli at the front, then your DPS column, being the column right behind her, is not going to be doing any damage. So Nayeli's kind of a waste. Likewise for Tyrell. Tyrell in his bear form buffs up to 2 steps away. 2 steps away from the tank line is still adjacent to this cart. So that's still going to be 0 damage. So it might be a situation where you need other tanks, like event champion tanks. If you're completely brand new, this is going to be hard. You might need to go with Nayeli or Tyrell just for the purpose of tanking and forget about them buffing your DPS. It's hard. If you have only the core champions available and you have the event champions from this event, then I guess I would put Nayeli and Tyrell at the front just to tank, period. They're not going to be helping you at all, except for their team-wide DPS upgrades. I like the idea of using Jarlaxle because he's an early DPS choice. And he can give you Gold Find, which may be helpful for leveling up your team, since you're going to have a hard time getting buffs onto your DPS. But once you get up to the point where you can use someone else, like Ashara or Minsk or Delana, and it feels weird saying this, Delana might be a better choice, just because very far back is one of the only options you have available for DPS. I might even suggest that newer players hold off on doing this one until you've built up your favor. Do the first variant, do free plays. Yeah, Spurt's placement in my formation here might be your best choice for a DPS. Because you can have up to 3 adjacent buffers, and adjacencies are very important for a lot of sports. Most sports care about adjacencies. I would certainly hesitate to suggest using Dragon Bait in this adventure. If you have Dragon Bait, then that's like proof that you are quite an established player in Idle Champions. I'm just trying to theory craft how new players would tackle this. New players would certainly not have Dragon Bait. Maybe Drizzt. Certainly not Dragon Bait. The irony that if you have Dragon Bait, it means you don't need Dragon Bait. Well, surely certain variants And in the future, as more things are released, I'm sure Dragon Bait will be more and more necessary for different things. He can be used for either of the current patrons, Mert and Vajra, so that already puts a feather in his cap over other champions, like Kathris and Ashara, who cannot be used for either patron. It's rough. Oh, I can finally show you how many gems I have collected. 6,768 total jewels, red gems collected for my Black Viper. For anyone wondering, maybe you've just unlocked Black Viper and you're curious what all of her upgrades are, this is the full list. Her final red gem upgrade is at 6,500 gems. The most important ones are the earliest ones that you get. 10, 50, 300. But collect them all if you want to invest in Black Viper. Just be prepared to spend a lot of time doing it. Speed potions are thankfully a thing, so that'll help you. If your class is wizard, patrons don't like you. In the current setup of the game with its current characters, yeah. Not really a lot of wizards. Plenty of spellcasters in general, but not too many wizards specifically in the game so far. Oh, there's a good question in regard to how Black Viper works for red gems in the chat. Funky Pants, okay, asks about Black Viper's gem collection counter. Does that only count picked up gems, or do gem rewards for missions also count? Well, it is not counting gems as you're assuming, I believe, with the way you phrase that. These are regular gems, green gems. Black Viper wants red gems. Red gems have a chance of dropping every time you kill a boss for the first time during an adventure. You cannot grind the same boss on the same stage just over and 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 over. It only checks the first time you kill a boss. Right now there's a 25% chance. She has a specialization that increases that chance to 33%. So instead of a 1/4 chance, it's a 1/3 chance. So your actual like green gems don't matter for Black Viper. It's only red gems. And that's why it takes so long. If it was green gems, it'd be much faster. I'm wondering when we get other gem colors into the mix. I want blue gems. Give me sapphires. I like blue. That's why my Mars character is wearing so much blue. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, Garwar. I appreciate you going the extra mile to add a new player formation suggestion for this variant in particular. Because I figure we're going to get a lot of people asking for help in the Discord on this one. We had Diamond Golems last event. No, that doesn't count. Although they were cool. I like their color. We might actually be able to clear 125 without any speed potions on. I know I normally throw speed potions on when I'm doing my show here for Mars Guiding Hand, but sometimes it's better to take it slow and appreciate things more. Okay, if I was going to try setting up a Delana formation here, what would I do? Or better yet, if I don't want... Well, no. Okay, I'll try. Alright, I'm just going to put together... Well, for that matter, how about I try working with only the core 12 plus the event champions. I'll take Oath of... sure, Devotion. It's fine. Normally take Oath of Vengeance, but if I'm going to have Nail at the front, then her Oath of Vengeance won't be as important. I'll take humanoids. I think the Sea Spawn are humanoids. No one knows what a Delano formation looks like. I'll take Hitch instead of Delano. I might be using Delano, but might not. Makos. Dark Blessing. Here's Tyrell. Here's Jamila. Don't really care about Jamila for this. Probably. Shara. Calliope. Okay. Humans. Valor. Okay. See, Calliope's not going to be helping much. I want... Well, no, I can set Calliope here, and I can have my DPS in this column right in front of her. This is like the only space for doing a Calliope DPS, unless you wanted to put our Calliope buffing your DPS, unless you wanted to put Calliope here and have your DPS also be like in your tank line. You then want Saskia to be within 2 spaces, 2 steps of your DPS for her buff. I want to set Tyrell out here, Makos up here. Hitch, because Jarlaxle's not buffing anyone, she's just buffing Goldfind. Okay. This is a very... like, just a very quick, very rough, like, sketch for a core formation for a Suspicious Shipment variant for Fleet's Wake Year 3. Utilizing Saskia, core characters, and Hitch. So take a screenshot of this if you want or something, but this would be like maybe something to start with and then adjust how you need to. In this position, I have Calliope is buffing Minsk by Minsk being in front of her. Celeste is adjacent to Minsk. It doesn't matter where she specifically is, really. Saskia is within 2 steps of Minsk. Hitch doesn't really matter. Makos doesn't really matter as long as he's not adjacent to my DPS, who is Minsk. And I have Naeli and Tyrell up in front for tanking. Tyrell's not in his wild shape yet for his specialization for tanking because I just can't afford it yet. But soon. What are the rules of this variant? Zeke is asking. The rules for this variant is that a strange shipment takes up a slot in the formation. It's so distracting that champions adjacent to the shipment deal no damage. So you can see when I hover over any of the characters adjacent to this wagon, they are all reporting 0 damage for their attack. So it forces you to put your DPS character in either this space, this space, this space, or this space. Yes, Zeke. That was one of my theory crafted formation ideas for this variant, is to just throw Delana in the back and then have everyone buffing Delana. But Minsk is better. For now. One day, the age of Delana will arrive. And the faithful shall be rewarded. Minsk may not be helping. I mean, Hitch may not be helping Minsk for Minsk's charisma, but Hitch is still giving off his all champion DPS upgrades. See, it's an E1 increase. Better than nothing. I would certainly use a different champion if I wasn't doing all core and Hitch and event champions. I'm only using Hitch here because you can easily get Hitch from signing up the newsletter. See, my Minsk is better for the DPS over Hitch, so Hitch is just here for the all-champ damage boost. Yes, good old Shiny Thief Delana. Are daggers ever better than charisma bonus for Hitch? Winnicott is asking. Yes, depending on what you're doing. Like, if you're trying to set up a Hitch DPS specific formation, then sure, try more daggers. Also, any variants that have a lot of armored enemies, like Durable Deep. I know that More Daggers Hitch is a very popular choice for Durable Deep. That is a Grand Tour of the Sword Coast variant that's infamous for being particularly difficult for newer players. I see Durable Deep as like a test. Like a comprehension test for how much you understand the game and how you can build around specific challenges. It's slow and it's agonizing, but it's also a good challenge. You want to bring to the table pushback champions, multi-hit champions, high attack speed champions. You want like your strongest tank, because they're going to be tanking a lot of enemies. Oh, you should do Durable Deep then, Zeke. It's fun. It just takes forever. But we're in the age of speed potions, so you can always throw those on if you just want to save time. Oh, we have our ultimate unlocked, so we can actually read about this now. Sasaspia's ultimate fungal infestation. Sasaspia causes all of her spores currently affecting her enemies to delve deep into their targets and tear them apart from the inside, dealing massive damage. First Instinct, this is the kind of ultimate that, much like Krull's, you want to wait before using. So having familiars roaming on my ultimate bar like this probably isn't ideal for using this ultimate, especially given the long cooldown, like 300 seconds. 294 because, or 200, what, 84? 294? So what is it, like 310 seconds by default? Seems odd. Still. It's a long cooldown. It's probably pretty strong, considering that it will do more the more spores you have out. Can anyone in the chat confirm for me if this is multi-hit or not? Is it one big burst, or is it multiple smaller bursts? Okay, here's our final Kraken Battle for this variant. Let's see how well this core formation does against it. Now, to be fair, I have absurd item levels on my core characters here. Not on Sasaspia, of course. But I believe they should be fine. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm wondering, Garwar. Normal enemies can only hold one spore, but bosses can hold up to 4 spores. So I'm wondering if each of those spores detonates, or if they just all detonate at a ×4 burst. or something. This requires further experimentation. I look forward to next week when I have some more mastery of Saskia to speak of. I'm going to be experimenting with different formations utilizing her. And I'll be trying out a Saskia DPS formation during my playtesting to see whether she she might be secretly powerful DPS. That's always fun. Each one detonates. Oh boy. DPS. Damage per second. It's a good thing I have a pop filter on this microphone, huh? Saskia. We've got a little less than 10 minutes left in the stream, so if anyone has any last-minute questions or topics they would like to discuss, please, by all means. We're here for all players of all skill levels, new and old alike. Although I'm out of water. Stay hydrated. Bum, bum, ba-da-dum, bum. And you as well, Winnikid. Have a lovely evening. Thank you for joining us. Ildacine, you've reached 10,000 hours in the game. Congratulations! You're officially an expert in Idle Champions. Alpha Kroll is asking, how long should one farm at the wall before reset? That depends on who you ask. So, as just like general advice, if you just want like a basic rule of thumb, what I normally tell people is once you get to your wall, farm there for about an hour. Then reset and go again. But maybe I should reconsider my opinion on that now that offline progress is a thing that exists. Get to your wall. Your absolute wall. Then go to sleep. Check on it the next day. Reset. Go again. Now that offline progress is a thing, yeah. That should be more helpful than it used to be. You probably won't get very much further at all if you've already reached your absolute wall, but you'd still be grinding for gold, which will boost you. Oh yes, that is. I'm glad that someone mentioned Sasaspia's kind of unique, specific element of her basic attack, Blight. Someone in chat just mentioned that she doesn't deal damage to undead and constructs. Let me just go ahead and read this out. Blight. 7.8 second cooldown. Sasaspia unleashes a wave of necrotic energy upon a random enemy. Deals additional damage to plants, but no damage to undead or constructs. Yikes. She's not a DPS character. So for the most part, that's not going to matter. But if you're weird like me and you just want to try Sasaspia DPS, be careful about which adventure you choose. You might want to research what types of enemies are going to be in different adventures and then pick your adventure to test Sasaspia DPS based on that. The fact that she does bonus damage to plants is interesting. I can't think of any particular plant bosses in the game currently that are infamously difficult. Most of the super bosses are going to be constructs or undead in the current game. And that's unfortunately exactly what she cannot damage. So, Then again, right now, it's really all about the bud. It's really all about your ultimates. The giant tree in Visions of Strahd. Yeah, like that big evil-looking tree. think that's a plant. The treehouse monster, Baba Lysaga's hut, I think is actually a construct, not a plant. However, in 99.99% use cases for Saskia, I would assume no one's actually using her as a DPS. So the fact that her basic attack doesn't deal damage to undead or constructs isn't going to matter. I wouldn't let that worry hold you back from using Saskia in an adventure that is thick with undead and constructs. Don't worry about it. You will still use someone else as your DPS, and so only their attack is really going to matter. Or ultimates, for that matter. Oh yeah, and you can't use Saskia in Visions of Strahd anyway, because it's only the core 9. I guess in the free play. Can we make it? We're gonna make it. These enemies have E30 health. I'm doing E55 damage, E52 on my bud right now. It's fine. I'm probably not going to clear 125 live on stream here today, but it's gonna happen. Probably within 5 or 10 minutes of going offline. I wish you all luck with your Fleet's Wake, with your event. Prioritize Zorbu. After that, Saskia. After that, Black Viper. Most important thing you can do is unlock the characters, then gear them up, and worry about variants. You can complete champion-specific achievements, such as Zorbu's hit X number of creatures in a line with his basic attack. Outside of this event, you don't have to do those achievements during the event, so don't worry about that so much. And you'll just get that one eventually, as long as you're using Zorbu as your DPS. Or even not as your DPS, just have him in your formation. And then have like some really good tank out. You will eventually get to the point where your tank is tanking enough enemies stacked up together that Zorbu will fire a shot and it'll hit as many enemies as it needs to. How to get the cute Minsk skin? That is the Minsk Boo skin, which I believe was from a charity drive DLC pack. Am I remembering that right? There's so many of them now. So many different skins to keep up with. But it's wonderful, isn't it? Does this show up in Wild offers? I wonder. Since I have all the skins, I don't see them showing up in Wild offers. You as well, Wanagi Sky. Have a great event. Enjoy your Fleet's Wake. This is an excellent event for anyone new to Idle Champions to begin with. If you are new to the game, let's say you just started last week, or even today, you don't know what you're doing, if you're maybe afraid to start an event so early because you're new to the game, don't be. Get in this event. Unlock Zorbu. He's one of the top characters in the game right now, one of the best DPS options in the game. Get Zorbu, get Saskia, get Black Viper if you have time and energy for it. But definitely Zorbu, definitely Saskia. And above all, enjoy yourself. It's a wonderful game. Play how you want, regardless of what's optimal. If you want some deeper insight into the specifics, the minutiae of the game, go check out Garwar's guides on the Reddit. Go check out Silesa's evaluations of the champions for this event and otherwise. And I'll see you all next week. for our next episode of Mars Guiding Hand. Have a good evening, everyone. Cheers. Bum.